In this third section of the tutorial, we're going to look at the headshell, cartridge and tonearm setup. First thing we need to do really is to check if the tonearm is sitting level. Now we can see at the moment this headshell has got an incline coming up the way. A lot of headshells are at a fixed angle, but the Thorens one here is adjustable with the screw underneath the finger lift there. So first thing I need to do is to get that leveled up a bit better. So we'll unscrew the headshell. That locking ring releases the headshell. We can have a wee look at the pins here which connect through. These need to be clean, bright and shiny. If the pins need cleaning up, the best way to get in amongst them is with a little suede brush. A little brass suede brush would be perfect for these pins. The look of this cartridge is not great, so there's a couple of things we're going to have to do here. Is set the angle that the headshell is sitting at. The stylus is also broken, and we can see that the cartridge is sitting at an odd angle. So let's tackle these things one at a time. We'll get the stylus out. These Shure styli just slide out the front there. So the new stylus just slide in to the cartridge there. There we go. Now I'm going to straighten up the cartridge by loosening these screws a little bit. We can then adjust the angle that the cartridge is sitting at. Next thing we need to check is that the distance between the tip of the stylus and the back of the headshell, and that should be 49 millimeters. We're using a gauge here to check the distance. You can use a ruler otherwise. It's a little bit short at the moment. Because the cartridge screws into a fixed position on the headshell, the adjustment in this case is towards the back, and we've got these screws that are in slots. We can loosen these and we can extend the headshell, as it were. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Now that we're in the right place, we can tighten these up, and also we wanted to get a little bit of slight downward angle on there because it was previously tilted up a bit at the front. So we're just locking these screws off now. With adjustments made, I'm just going to remeasure 49 millimeters. That's good. I'll have a quick look that these wire terminals, solder joints are okay, which they are. Put the stylus guard back on for the moment. And bring the head shell back onto the tone arm. Now then, should be possible to get this nice and level now. A nice damped action there as the tone arm comes down. It's still up a bit at the front, so we're going to adjust that last process again. We'll bring the arm across, drop it down onto the record, nicely damped. And now, with the stylus sitting on the record, we can visually check that the tone arm is sitting horizontal and the head shell is parallel to the record surface, top of the head shell here. Okay, so that looks good. The next thing we should do is set up the counterbalance. So we'll lift the head shell for the moment, take it off to the side a little bit. I'm going to move the camera angle. So on the back of the tone arm there's this weight here which is used for setting the tracking weight, and this other weight, the large weight at the back, does the balancing. Along this metal bar there are little notches on it. Each notch represents half a gram. So the first thing we need to do here is to loosen off this weight and line it up on the first notch. There we go. And now, you see there's too much weight at the back, so now we want to adjust the back weight so that the arm is sitting level with no upward or downward force on it. So by bringing the weight forward, the front of the tone arm comes down, taking the weight backwards lifts the front up. So now slightly heavy at the front, it's very close, so just take the weight back a little. Ah, there we go. That's a sweet balance. So now we can tighten the rear counterweight. Then we bring this weight for the tracking weight forward, half, 1.5 grams. So 3 marks. Because that's the recommended tracking weight for the Shure 75. Well, there's a range of tracking weight, but that's a good point at which to start. Now let's just anchor the arm. The next thing we need to put back on is the little bias weight that we took off at the very beginning, and that hooks onto the back of here. Again, there are notches, so it hooks on here and runs over the second bar here. Let me just get in a little closer there for you. The idea of the little bias weight here is that the arm has a natural momentum in towards the center of the record, and this little bias weight, it counters that by giving an outward bias. Now with the little weight attached to the back notch, that corresponds with a 2 gram tracking weight. On the front notch, it corresponds to a 1 gram tracking weight. And we're tracking at 1.5, so we want to just edge this up to the middle notch and the middle groove on there. So that's the bias now set to 1.5 grams, tracking weight set to 1.5 grams. So now, with the arm balanced and horizontal, the stylus tip correctly lined up, and with the tracking weight and bias set up, we're now ready to actually play a record. So raise the arm. There we go. Thanks for watching this tutorial. If you found it useful at all, please subscribe down below, and if you have any comments, put them in the box underneath. Thank you, and good luck with your own turntable.